We're going to sing a song before we begin by Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Kabhi habe bolo se dina amar. So I'll read the translation first. This is, I believe this translation right here is by Vishnujan Maharaj. So, can you turn that TV on so I can cast it on there? Okay. So I'll read the translation while that's going on. When will that day be mine, when my offenses ceasing, taste for that name increasing? When will my heart will your mercy shine? When will that day be mine? Lower than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree. When will my mind attain this quality, respect to all, not expecting honor? Then shall I taste the name's nectar sublime. When will that day be mine? Great wealth of followers, feminine beauty, I won't care for them or the comforts of my body. Birth after birth, give me, O Lord Chaitanya, causes devotion to your feet divine. When will that day be mine? When will I utter Krishna, Krishna, Krishna with words choked up and shivering body? When will I be trembling all over, losing bodily color, tears pouring in from my eyes? When will that day be mine? When in Navadvip along the Ganga bank, shouting Gaur Nityananda as a surrendered soul, dancing, chanting, running everywhere. When will I become half mad of mind? When will that day be mine? When will Lord Nityananda show mercy upon me? When will I reject the words of Maya? Bestow unto me the shade of your lotus feet. Let the right to preach the name be mine. When will that day be mine? I beg, borrow, or steal the nectar of the name. By the name's effect I shall feel paralyzed. Enjoy of the nectar of the name. When I touch your feet till the end of time? When will that day be mine? Kindness to all beings. Sorry, Mason, you got it up there? All beings will appear with free heart, forget myself comforting. Bhakti Vinod in all humanity praise. Now shall set out to preach your order sublime. When will that day be mine? Kabhi habe bolo se dina mar, kabhi अपराध गुची सुध नाम रुचि कृपा बले हबे हृदय संचार तेनादि कही ना कबे निज मानी सहिष्णुता गुण हृदय आनी सकले मानद अपन अमानी होय आस्वादिबो नाम रस सार धन जन आर कविता सुंदरी बोली बोना चाही देहो सुख करी जन्मे जन्मे जादाओ हे गोरा हरि आहित की भक्ति चरण तुम्हार करिते श्री कृष्ण नाम उच्चारण पुलकित देह गद गद बचन भैवरण्य व्यक्तु हवे संघटना निरंतर नेत्रे बबे अश्रुधार कवनवद्वीपे सुरधुनि तटे गौर नित्यानंद बोले निष्कपटे नाचिया गाइया बेराइब छुटे बाटुलेर प्राय चारे अविचार कबे नित्यानंद मोर करी दया चारई मोर विषय माया दिया मोरे निज चरणेर छाया नाम रे आतिते निवे अधिकार किनिब लुटिब हरि नाम रस नाम रसे माति होइब विवश रसे रह रसिका चरण परस करिया मुजीव रसे आनिबा कबे जीवे दया होइबे उदया निज सुख भूली सुदीन हृदय भक्ति विनोद करिया विनया श्रियंग तहल करिबे प्रचार हबे हबे से दिनामा कबे हबे बोला से दिनामा कबे हबे बोला से दिनामा कबे हबे बोला से भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस प्रविजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत शिष्यमत इसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। All glories to the Holy Hare Krishna. All glories to the Holy Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text number 34. Okay, got it up there? Okay, who's control? Okay. Got it? You don't have the other app? You don't have the other app? Oh. Okay. That's not 434. Yeah, I think that might be 6th. I don't think that's 434, bro. I'm looking at it here. I know the verse. Is it 34? Yeah. Okay. All right. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena te sevaya ubadikshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshinaha tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya उपदिक्षन्ति ते ज्ञानम् ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः तद्विधि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदिक्षन्ति ते ज्ञानम् ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः तद्विधि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदिक्षन्ति ते ज्ञानम् ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः. Please repeat. तद्विधि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदिक्षन्ति ते ज्ञानम् तत्त्वदर्शिनः. तद्विधि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदिक्षन्ति ते ज्ञानम् ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः. सेवया उपदिक्षन्ति ते ज्ञानम् ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः. Okay, Mataji. तद्विधि प्रणिपातेन सेवया ज्ञानम् ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः. तद्विधि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया ज्ञानम् ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः. Okay. That knowledge of different sacrifices. Vidhi, try to understand. Pranipatena, by approaching a spiritual master. Pariprashnena, by submissive inquiries. Sevaya, by the rendering of service. Upadikshanti, they will initiate. Te, you. Jnanam, into knowledge. Jnaninaha, the self-realized. Tattva, of the truth. Darshinaha, seers. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. Purport. The path of spiritual realization is undoubtedly difficult. The Lord therefore advises us to approach a bona fide spiritual master in the line of disciplic succession from the Lord Himself. No one can be a bona fide spiritual master without the following this principle of disciplic succession. The Lord is the original spiritual master, and a person in the disciplic succession can convey the message of the Lord as it is to his disciple. No one can be spiritually realized by manufacturing his own process, as is the fashion of the foolish pretenders. The Bhagavatam says, Dharmam tu sakshad bhagavat pranitam. The path of religion is directly enunciated by the Lord. Therefore, mental speculation or dry arguments cannot help lead one to the right path. nor by independent study of books of knowledge can one progress in spiritual life. One has to approach a bona fide spiritual master to receive the knowledge. Such a spiritual master should be accepted in full surrender, and one should serve the spiritual master like a menial servant without false prestige. Satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is a secret of advancement in spiritual life. Inquiries and submission constitute the proper combination for spiritual understanding. Unless there is submission and service, inquiries from the learned spiritual master will not be effective. One must be able to pass the test of the spiritual master. And when he sees the genuine desire of the disciple, he automatically blesses the disciple with genuine spiritual understanding. In this verse, both blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. Not only should one hear submissively from the spiritual master, but one must also get a clear understanding from him in submission and service and inquiry. A bona fide spiritual master is by nature very kind towards the disciple. Therefore, when the student is submissive and is always ready to render service, the reciprocation of knowledge and inquiries becomes perfect. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmitamena Tasmai Shigrive Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishnu Stapita Mena Budalishwam Prabhum Kadamayam Dadanti Swapadantik Vandeham Shigru Shetapadagalam Shigru Vaishnavasya Shri Rupam Sagra Chatam Sahagana Ragnathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savaditam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vijakhan Vitam He Krishna Karina Sindhu Dinavanda Jagatvate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastite Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Bhishavani Sati Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vancha Kalpadharuvescha Kripa Sindhu Bhyavecha Patita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtabhadala Shrimate Bhakti Vikasa Swami Nitinamane Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtabhadala Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamane Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jnananandamayam Devam Nirmaspatikakriti Adharam Sarva Vidyanam Hayagrivam Upasmehe Guru Vaishnav Bhagavan Tinera Smarana Hoy Vigna Vinashan Anayasha Hay Nijavanchita Purana. Okay, so here we're discussing the secret of spiritual life, the essence of spiritual life. Where a genuine person seeking after genuine knowledge begins his journey of self-realization. And so Krishna is making the point in the Bhagavad Gita that one should approach a spiritual master and one should learn from him, because the spiritual master knows. Why does he know? Because he's done the study, he's practiced, and he is realized completely. That is the spiritual master. Now, in general, people don't, we have to follow everything. Everybody has to follow something. No, nobody can not follow, you can't just not follow anything. You have to follow something in your life. Everybody has some sort of philosophy they follow, or some sort of rules and regulation one follows, otherwise it's chaotic. So one has to follow something in one's life. Just like in order to live comfortably in the society, one has to follow the rules and regulations of the state. If you do what you feel like, I get out on the road. Today I feel like driving on the left side of the road. In Australia we do that. Anyway, that's Australia. We drive on the wrong side of the road, you could say for you, but for us it's wrong side here. But today I feel like not stopping at the stop sign. Today I just feel like it. My feelings tell me that I shouldn't stop today. If I don't stop, I will be completely fine. My feelings tell me that I will be completely fine. I can run that red light today, I'll be completely fine. You know why? Because my feelings are so strong and they tell me. Okay? Today I feel like going to the store and not paying for what I buy. I'm not going to pay for it today. Why? I feel like it. Today I'm going to go to work. You know what? At work I don't feel like working. I don't have to work. I don't need to follow. Why do I need to follow? It's like I'll go to work and I'll just sit there and I'll do what I want. I'm a free person. I'll do what I want. My feelings tell me not to do it today. Okay, great. But when one doesn't follow, then there's consequences. What are the consequences? One's life generally becomes a little miserable. Because he doesn't know, or he may be ignorant of the rule. Just like if you don't know how to drive, you may not know certain signs on the road. You may not know that the red light is a stop thing. Red light means stop. You may not know. You may not have read the manuals of the book and just started driving anyways. Then what will happen? Simply you'll end up in a ditch or you'll end up in the hospital. Consequences. And our life, while attending to our feelings to make ourselves feel better in life, we put ourselves in a much worse situation. So in general, people follow something, but people don't want to follow the rules and regulations that are laid out as a part of the law that is there in order to protect the civilians. Is that right? That's how I say it, right? Yeah. The laws are there to protect this, different persons. But people don't want to follow. And then we see the result. People want to follow their hearts. People want to follow their feelings. So this heart, people want to follow their heart. Yes, we're talking about general principles of life in terms of whatever materialistic, going out and driving on the wrong side of the road. But people take that, and often you'll hear this. I've heard it so many times because whatever the work that we do of going out and speaking the message of God consciousness, we often hear, God is in my heart and I follow and I listen to God in my heart. That is like the general thing that you hear from most people who are religious. God is in my heart and I'll follow him. I follow him. And I do what he says. So one God in one person's heart says you should go and bomb this building. Right? We have that. The Twin Towers in New York. The God inside of that person's heart said, go and bomb this building. God is in his heart, right? Is it not true? Where is this verse? How does it start? Now I'm forgetting. Is Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hridaya Arjuna Tishtati. That I am situated in the hearts of everyone. It's true. There's no doubt about that. The God is situated in everyone's heart. He's in your heart. He's in my heart. But in that person's heart, he's telling him to go and kill a bunch of people by whatever suicide bomb. And then in your heart, he's telling you something else. So why is that person in that God in that person's heart wrong? Isn't God one? Is there many gods? No, that's a definition of God. That is, God is the supreme topmost. What is the two main, what is the definition of God? Does anybody know the definition of God? How do we know someone is God or something is God? Because someone is God. He created, but there's something, whatever, Bhagavan, yeah. But what is the definition? When we... Omnipotent, yeah. This Bhagavatam gives the answer. What is the two words? Abhigya Swarat. He is fully cognizant and that he is Abhigya Swarat. He is full of knowledge and he is situated everywhere. He is omniscient. He is situated everywhere. So, I can pull up this verse. It's the first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Sorry, he's fully, a big guy, I was like trying to remember the translation. He's fully independent and fully cognizant. He's full of knowledge and he's fully independent. He can do what he likes. He can do what he likes. And he's fully cognizant. He's full of knowledge. That is the definition of God. He's situated everywhere. So why is the God in that one person's heart telling to bomb, and then in another person's heart telling him to do something else, whatever it may be? Who's right? Anybody have an answer? Who's right? Who gets to choose who's right? God gets to choose. So, but God in his heart told him to bomb. So what's the problem? Is that right? Is it right? The God in Hitler's heart said it's okay to kill all the Jews. What's the problem?
God gave the scriptures, so there is reference.
Sure. But what's the problem here?
Maybe they're not reading Krishna right now. Maybe there's misinterpretation.
There's more in the heart. There's God in the heart, but there's also more. What does Krishna say? There's this kama, esha, krodha, esha. There's lust, greed, anger. There's enemies within the heart. So although God is there, the living entity who is sitting next, there's the super soul and the soul who is next to who is there within the heart also, next to the super soul, he is covered up, just like the embryo is covered up by the womb, just like a fire is covered by smoke. Krishna says this in the Bhagavad Gita. So similarly, the living entity is covered by lust, anger, greed, false ego. Above the senses is the mind. Above the mind is the intelligence. Above that is the ego or the self, sometimes they find us. And these lust, anger, greed, they sit in these places. The mind, the senses, intelligence, Krishna says. So, although God is situated in the heart, if one is not purified, and he doesn't know how to become purified, then his so-called me talking to God within my heart is what? Simply an exhibition of his lust, anger, and greed. That's what it is. That's why you see so much violence in the world. Even amongst religions, so much violence. Because although they want to be God conscious, they do not know how to. Prabhupada would say like that. They do not know know who God is, so they do not know the laws of God. They do not know how to act accordingly to what God wants. And you can't tell him anything. Oh God, I feel it in my heart. I feel the goodness in my heart of God. While I go and slit the throat of an animal and put it on my plate and eat it for the sake of my tongue. That's the goodness that is in my heart. While I own slaughterhouses that kills millions of innocent animals, that is the goodness in my heart. Actually, slaughterhouses mostly owned by Christians. Goodness in your heart. How much goodness do you have? Some innocent living being for the sake of your tongue. Just because it's tasty. So God is in my heart. God is in my heart. God is telling me so many things. And God is telling me so many things as long as I like it. As long as it satisfies me. Right? God, give us our daily bread. God, give me a new car. God, give me a nice situation. God, please save this person. God, please save that person. And if God, the order supplier, doesn't fulfill the desire of the living being, of the conditioned soul, who is full of lust, anger, greed, then God is not there. Then God doesn't exist. Then who is this God? Why is he not supplying what I want? Why is he not giving me what I want in my life? Why? What did I do wrong? God is my order supplier. It's a business exchange. I come, I pray to you, and you give me whatever I want. And you make me feel good. And in return, I'll do something for you. Something. Little. This is going on. So this is the situation when one simply, just like I was describing, follows on the platform of feeling. Does not, as Prabhupada is saying in this purport here, one does not apply his intelligence, one blindly follows. He either blindly follows his own desires and tries to justify it using God, or he does not inquire properly and ends up in a situation where he is following perhaps the wrong thing. Things that don't make sense. One is just blindly accepting. There may be scripture, like you say, where there may be God and there may be scripture within different traditions, but one just blindly accepts things just like that are not logical at all, even on the base platform of material existence. Like things like animals don't have souls. Therefore, we can kill them and eat them. But if you observe a little bit, if you're a little bit intelligent, you look into the eyes of an animal, it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear. And anyways, then one has to define, well, how do you, one has to get a little philosophical. Then how do you define one has a soul? Do we just blindly accept only human beings have a soul? Or do we have the intelligence as the human form of life, God-given intelligence, to be able to inquire and make distinction? What is the symptoms of life? What is the symptoms of a soul? One should examine all of these things. One should understand all of these things. So one should not just blindly accept the dictation of one's feelings and then justify them by using God. And then say, well, I don't need to follow any process. Because why? God is in my heart. God is in my heart, and I know God. So many people, I've heard that from so many people. I know God, and then walk into the bar and get drunk. Do you really know God? Is this right? Will we make progress doing this? What do we want? Is that what we want? We want to just play. We want to play God, and God should be our servant. That's the position people are taking. I'm God. God is there and He supplies me. Or is it meant to be the other way around? God, what do you want? Let me give you what you want. Are we out to, are we looking, are we seekers, as Prabhupada is saying here? A submissive student, is one seeking after the absolute truth, or is one seeking just for feel good? Just to feel good. So one has to understand these things, that we are not pure-hearted. That's why that song that I sang is speaking about that. When will I be able to become pure? When will I be able to become pure? And to a situation where I can have that internal, pure relationship with God. Without my own personal desire. Without my own hang-ups. Without my own identification with this body, with this home. That's what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is praying here. He's saying like that, one of our great teachers. He's saying like that, great wealth follows feminine beauty. I won't care for them or the comforts of my body. Birth after birth give me, O Lord Chaitanya, causes devotion to your feet divine. When will that day be mine? Are we ready? Are we ready to give up wealth, followers, beauty, comforts of the body? Are we ready to go through surrender? We want to love God. What is love? Is essence. People say, what is the essence? Essence is love. The essence of everything is love. Sure, but Surrender, as my spiritual master says, is the essence. Because that's how you show love. I can say, I love you. I love you so much. But you hate chocolate, and I got you all of this nice chocolate for you. Here you go. So, loving God, one has to learn how to love God. One has to undergo a process to love God. One has to undergo the process of purification of one's heart. It is not a hodgepodge idea. You're spiritual, I'm spiritual. And we're all spiritual. That's true, because that's the ultimate state of being that we are. But the word that is, the way that it is used, generally means like, whatever, I'm on a spiritual platform, or I'm not materialistic, or such and such. So people will claim like that. People will claim when they don't have the proper credits to back it up. Just like somebody may claim, like I've given the example so many times, to be an engineer and go and build a big bridge. Yes, I'm an engineer. And he may start to build the bridge, but if there is somebody there who's a real engineer, then he'll immediately recognize from the get-go this person he doesn't know anything. He's bluffing. One immediately knows, just like I can tell you right now, well, I studied physics in university. And I can start to say so many hodgepodge ideas that don't make any sense because you're not learned in physics. I can start to speak about quantum theory and wave and particle theory, and I can make up whatever the hell I want. And the fact that, I just state, oh yeah, I went to university. I studied it 4 or 5 years ago, but I can't remember half of it, but I just came up to this part and said a few things that sounded nice and then made up my own thing. You'd probably believe me. I saw this one thing this guy was saying. He convinced people that eating a Snicker bar is more unhealthier than smoking cigarettes. Why? Because people, just like on the streets, sometimes I tell people, I'm from Nepal. I climbed Mount Everest in this. And because I'm dressed in a little bit of clothes of a sadhu, of a saintly person in general, this is how saintly persons dress in the culture of Vedic tradition. They're like, oh really? Oh my God. And I'm like, no, come on, are you serious? You really believe it? They're like, yeah, I really believed you. It's like, come on, I'll die. Look at me. I'm like a skinny little twig. How can I climb Mount Everest? But if somebody's intelligent who's a climber, he'll look at me and go, come on, bro. Immediately he'll know, yeah, this guy's bluffing. Because he knows what it takes to climb. He knows the science of climbing. He knows the body that is required, the type of mentality that's required. All of these things he knows because he has done it. He knows the science of climbing. So I can't fool a climber, but I can fool someone who doesn't know. Who doesn't know, who's never walked up a mountain before, who's never seen snow before, who doesn't know how big Mount Everest is. I can fool them. So we can become easily fooled when we're not studied and understand what is spiritual life and how to practice it. So then an intelligent thing to do is learn what it is. One has to learn spiritual life. One has to learn the process of spiritual realization. And it is not like, this person has his thing and this person has this thing. And all paths lead to the same goal. No. There's a process that is given. Just like even when you study science, anybody studied science here? Yeah? Do you go into your science lab or whatever and just start throwing things around? No. what do? You do experiments and you test theories that are coming from the past teachers of science. It's like you have Newton's laws and you go and whatever. They teach physics later on in America in your whatever 11th, 12th grade? Or is that like a choice? Or? Huh? In 12th grade? They teach senior year and all that? No? Okay. Anyways, so yeah, in Hungary, you went through it. University. You can go in there and you can try. You can try to establish the equation that Schrodinger came up with. It's freaking crazy. It's like when you write it on paper, it's about that long, and then it ends up being about, probably that big when you like write it out. I can say, you know what? I can just do it. I can just make it up. Let me just do it. How wrong will you be? You'll be so off. You'll be completely off. And then you can go try to test it yourself. And then you can convince yourself, oh yeah, you see, I'm right. But if you have any experience of doing that, of experiments or anything like that, generally somebody is there to help you. Even though the theory is there, just like, okay, some people may say, now I have the Bhagavad Gita, I have Krishna's words, Krishna's instructions, everything is here. Why do I need anyone else? Why do I need anyone else? So if you go to a science lab or you do something, just like even driving, who had to go to driving school? Some of you? Who somebody's dad or mom taught you driving? My dad taught me. Your dad taught you? Your dad taught you? How did you learn driving? You learned it yourself. You just got on the wheel and just like went at it. Okay. He was just in the car. Okay. So we had to learn. We could have read a manual, sure. We could have just read, okay, especially if you're driving manual cars. In Europe, you still have manual cars. Yeah. Stick shift. Even though you go do your learner's test, that's what they call it in America, learner's test. Yeah. You go do your learner's test and you learn all of the things. You constantly make mistakes when you're out there. You don't stop fast enough, or you stop, whatever, you're stopping too slow, or you run a light, or you do this and do that. So there's an instructor generally that can kind of help you get to a point where, he's there to guide you, because you'll make mistakes. Even though the instructions are there, sometimes clear, like when you enter a physics lab, and it's like, you look at the instructions and you're like, oh my God, what is going on? And you try it and everything fails. And then the teacher comes over and you tell the teacher, like, I think like this experiment is wrong. Because, whatever, the ego is there. So it's like, I'm right. And so the experiment is wrong. And then the teacher, he knows. He knows the ins and outs because he's done it so many times. He's studied it so deeply. And so then he comes and tells you, okay, you did this wrong, fix it. And you go and you better fix it, otherwise you're going to lose your mark. But you go and you fix that, and then you see, oh, okay, I was making mistakes. And then next time, okay, this teacher knows what's going on. This teacher knows what to do. Then you go approach, next time you have a problem, immediately you know what to do. I don't have to sit here with a hand in my head thinking, oh man, science is completely wrong. Like everything that I've done so far, like what am I doing with my life? This experiment failed. I studied 3 years of quantum mechanics, quantum physics to get to this point. And my final year, the accumulation of all my experiments, and it's the final one and it failed. What's the use of all my 3 years of experimentation? But if one is intelligent, he knows, oh, okay, I should call my teacher. He knows. He's done this before. He knows the ins and outs better than me. So then one approaches that teacher. And that teacher gives us the knowledge, gives us the details, the principles are laid out, gives us the details by which we can follow. We can follow properly and get the proper result. The proper result of becoming free from this lust, anger, greed, and getting our hearts clean in that state in which we can actually have proper relationship with God. And that relationship is not of God give me this, God give me that, but of how can I serve you? Simply that is my desire. Nothing more. I don't want anything more. Why? Because I'm completely satisfied. I'm completely satisfied by knowing you. Just by knowing that I can serve you, I'm completely satisfied. So the books like the Bhagavad Gita are perfect because they are spoken by someone who is perfect. It is spoken by God Himself. And God, being merciful to the living entities, sends His pure representatives to help us come to that platform of purification, of pure God consciousness. And so some people are like, why should I follow this? Why should I follow this? Why should I follow this? Why should I follow these rules and regulations and all of this? I can do something else. Sure, go for it. But you can judge if you want to, succeed generally. Just like if you want to go become some sort of great businessman, you naturally want to go to the best business school there is. And how do you determine what is the best business school? The result. Just like this Georgia Tech, I think every business, they have 100% rate of their students getting a job above like $100,000 or something like that. 100%. If you want to do business as your life's career, would you say, you know what, I'm going to go to Georgia State? Georgia State's stats are like, I don't know what they are, but they're not good. Would you say that? You want to go to Georgia State? No, you want to go to Georgia Tech. You want the best of the best. You want to succeed. And how do you know to succeed? Because they have results. They show results. They see that the students are very good at what they do. They see that the system that they have of the process and their teachers are very good. The knowledge is high class, top class, doesn't fail, no failure, not 1%, it's 100%, no fail. Therefore, Krishna says, many have attained perfection by following this method in the past. Many have attained perfection, and how can we see in our lives? Well, we come, and we see, are these people actually like trying to become God conscious? Are these people actually trying to serve God, or are they trying to serve their own senses? You can look around, there's not much material, you can't really enjoy materially so much here. It's not like we go and watch TV or to the movies or drink together or smoke together. None of these things, no, not at all. Completely dedicated, gave up everything. What do we want? We only want service to God, that's all, that's it, nothing else. And therefore you see every morning, ecstatically dancing, only eating that food which is offered to God, nothing else. No other desire than to love Krishna, to love God. So then we see, okay, if this is true, then it should be seen that those individuals who are practicing Krishna consciousness, lust, greed, anger, and all of these things are not present, or they're at least becoming purified of that. Because if those things were present, there's no way you could remain in an atmosphere where you have to be a humble servant. Because, most of the devotees that live in the Brahmacharya ashram, very competent people. They could have gone on to make so much money, finished university degrees, have so many businesses, done all of this. They could have done that. It's not some people say, well, in Krishna consciousness, most people join just because their life was miserable. No, like most of the devotees here are living what you would call very good lives. Some devotees were very rich. But they gave it up. Why? Because there's purification of heart in Krishna consciousness. One sees purification of heart, and it's not like one person doesn't, another person doesn't. If one sincerely follows the process, then he sees it. In order to follow that process, as Srila Prabhupada says, in this purport, one has to accept a spiritual master, one has to accept a teacher. We have to be humble enough to accept that we don't know everything. That we have to be humble enough to accept there is lust, greed, anger, and all of these things in my heart. And it's so deep, you don't even know. We don't even know. We think that letting go of material things is hard. We think that letting go of my university was hard. Letting go of my situation or my attachments to different conception of life, of having family, home, children, wife, all of these things was hard. You take up Krishna consciousness and you realize, oh, that was the easy part. You realize that. You're like, oh, that was, I didn't have anything to give up actually. But now you're dealing with the mind and your false ego, and you realize, oh, wow, there's a long way to go. And you realize how much you're an illusion. Because when you're in illusion, you can't recognize that you're in illusion. That's the nature of illusion. So somebody has to come and pull you out. If you are drowning in the ocean, you're not a swimmer. Even if you're a good swimmer, in order to become saved from the ocean of material existence, somebody has to come and pull us out. So God, in the case of Gajendra, he came directly for him. But Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says that is the bona fide spiritual master that comes. The spiritual master comes to save the disciple, save the conditioned living entity from material existence. And he doesn't come to exploit us. He doesn't want your money. He doesn't need your money. He doesn't need whatever you have materially. All he wants to give pure God consciousness. That is what he wants to give. And we'll notice when we practice Krishna consciousness, when we become free of this lust, of this greed, of this anger, then how freeing that is. People are trapped. People think they're free in America, the land of the free, home of the brave. Trapped in their minds, trapped by lust, trapped by greed. But the spiritual master comes and he cuts through all of these things. The Bhagavatam says this is like the Hridaya Granthi. It's like a knot in the heart. There's so much. But the science of Krishna consciousness, it is a science. It is a process. It is not some hodgepodge idea of just some pie in the sky. I think what I think. I think this is like this. I think this is like that. No, this is a process which is giving that. It is a science. You read Bhagavad Gita, it is a science, and you can apply it. That's why, as it is, it does not change. So the spiritual master gives the disciple that knowledge. Just by reading, we will not get. Just by reading, we won't get it. But when one has a sincere desire to know God, and he makes proper inquiries in that regard to the proper person, you can't just go and ask the homeless guy on the street. You have to recognize someone that is actually bona fide. You can't go and make the homeless guy and good guy on the street your professor. You have to approach the university, which has a good record, and say, look, I want to learn this. And then you have to sit in class and listen. You don't go and teach the teacher in class. You sit and you listen. And if you're really nice to the teacher, like whatever, I never saw it in Australia. You guys give an apple to the teacher here? No, that's not. No, what do they call that? The teacher's favorite student? Teacher's pet. That teacher's pet is definitely getting straight A's. Why? Because the teacher is very kind to him, teaches him. My teachers also in his school, they were kind to me. Sometimes they were so kind in the exam, they would come and tell me, it's ACT, and then they would tell me, because I would be wrong, and then they'll correct me. So if one is very sweet, if one is very submissive, submissiveness does not mean foolishness. Sometimes we confuse submissiveness with, like being just like blind and just yes, everything you say, and not having proper intelligence and not utilizing intelligence. That is not encouraged. Prabhupada said, we don't want blind followers. We don't want people who are just blind. We want people who have sharp intelligence. They have the ability to understand properly. So sincerity or submissiveness means using our intelligence, knowing what to submit to and who to submit to. So when one does that and stops speculating and mental speculation or dark and dry arguments, and he starts to accept proper knowledge from a proper source, then he starts to begin this process of purification. He begins that process, which starts by hearing. You hear, you chant. Just like we're hearing about these things, like we're speaking about the nature. What is the nature of truth, or how do we come to truth? We hear, and then we apply our intelligence to it. And then we may ask so many questions. If we have doubts, we may challenge. Challenge means it is also done with the idea to learn, not with the idea I already know. Some people come and ask you questions, but doesn't matter what you say and how much you defeat them, you're going to hell at the end of it. So why did you ask? Why are you asking me questions if you already know the answer? So one has to sincerely inquire about Krishna consciousness. If he sincerely inquires from the proper bona fide spiritual master, that spiritual master is coming in the line of the great teachers, going straight back to Krishna. That's why the Bhagavad Gita is bona fide. We cannot just accept any layman, any ordinary man as a spiritual master. He has to come in the disciplic succession. He has to be bona fide. That is the authority. If we're not willing to accept that, like I said, you can drive on the wrong side of the road. If you feel like it, go for it. But if we follow the rules and regulations of spiritual life, we are guaranteed the love of Godhead. And that love of Godhead is inconceivable right now for us. But we know and have seen in great Vaishnavas what that is. And they've described what that is. And so we aspire to become purified. We aspire to become the humble servants of God, but mainly of the spiritual master who is giving us God. One cannot approach, you can try. If you want to get close to the president, you can try and go and see him, but he won't give you proper recognition, because who are you? But if we become very dear friends with his dear one, someone that he very much loves, then naturally he'll give us recognition. It'll be much easier to approach him. So if we, with proper sincerity, understanding some of these points, take to the process of spiritual life, process of Krishna consciousness, then we will see how our lives change. We will see how much we have changed and how much we will continue to change in the future, and the fact that we'll see how we're established in something real, in reality. We will see God face to face. We won't have to imagine Him. We don't have to try to feel Him. He is there as a fact. As Bhaktivinoda Thakur, our acharyas, they're seeing. And they're seeing, therefore they've been very merciful to show us the form of God. We see all of these nice paintings. Of course, God is present on the planet, and each and every detail of what God looks like is described. Just like Nectar of Devotion, you can read what His toes look like, what His ankles look like, what His calves look like, what His knees look like, what His thighs look like, what His waist looks like, what His hips look like, what His chest looks like, what His neck looks like, what His arms look like, what His mouth looks like, what is the structure of His face, what does His ears look like, what is His hair like. All of these things are described in very much detail. They're all described in detail. Just like we accept the scientist, we accept Newton's laws. Why do we accept it? Because he's a great scientist. How do we know? Because other scientists tell us he's a great scientist. We accept on that authority. Therefore, the pure devotees of Krishna, they're free from this lust, greed, anger, and they're fully Krishna conscious. So they have described the form of Krishna. They've given us that. They've given us the vision of God. Who is God? It's so amazing. It's so amazing to know who you worship. It's amazing to know that personality. It's amazing to know what they like and what they don't like. And that you can love someone. You want to love someone, but we don't know how to love them. So our teachers, our great acharyas, have given us the details. Love is in the details of how to love God and who is God. So if we take up on this process and sincerely inquire from a spiritual master, we can say from personal experience that the mercy of the spiritual master allows us to go beyond anything that we've ever experienced before. The mercy of the spiritual master gives us eyes by which we can see. Om ajnanatimirandasya gyananjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So he opens our eyes. He opens our eyes to the degree that we are ready to receive the instruction and follow them. So the Krishna is giving the instructions, and the spiritual masters are also giving the same instruction. And so we're lucky in that way that we have this pure form of God's instructions and God's representatives. So if we're intelligent and we're lucky, we can take up this process of Krishna consciousness and become fully blissful, like chanting and dancing all the time. I don't know if the devotees liked the prasadam yesterday, but our men completely demolished it. The food yesterday. And then at night also, there's cookies and all of this. It's like this. That's Krishna consciousness. Variety, so much bliss. Dancing, chanting, having conversations that are so deep, knowledge that is so deep. Like I think I was saying that on Friday or something. I remember meeting the devotees and just was amazed at how much they knew. Was shocked. It's just like these people can tell. I can continue asking unlimited questions, and they'll give me unlimited answers. And the answers, I'm completely satisfied. I've never had this before. So Krishna consciousness is the science by which we can approach Godhead. You can go so many other places. Everywhere is free to go anywhere. But you can see by the fruits, you can see by the results, association that is enlivening, enlightening, that is pure, that is day in, day out full of bliss. We experience that in our day-to-day life. So if we can go on and we can take this process up, chant Hare Krishna. It's difficult in the beginning. Anything worth doing is difficult. But we can take upon that difficulty, knowing that it is love. Just like a mother takes on great difficulty for a child because she loves the child. Nowadays, they don't love the child so much, even the mothers. But, whatever. You can see mothers, they're very attached to their child. So she takes up on so much hardship. Why? The child's not going to do anything for her. But she loves. Therefore, we love God, we love Krishna. Therefore, so many difficulties come in our lives. We take it on. The austerities that come, we take it on. And then mercy comes. So these are some of the points that I had to present. So please feel free to ask any questions or comments. Does anybody have any questions? You want to get the DJI? Yeah. You can ask her.
So, my question is that you were telling about the experiments and the experiments in the wrong, and teacher comes correct.
I'll do like every single one wrong.
And sometimes it's like, in Krishna consciousness, it's basically the same thing. It's like the experiment for spirituality, like real spirituality. And you try again and again, and even some devotees come and correct you, and you're like, okay, like it's not working always the same time. You do a physics experiment, you do it like this and this and this, and it works every time the same time. But you come for japa one day, it's like super nice. You come another day, it's like terrible. You know? So how should we understand this? Even if if there is the spiritual master, like the experiment should be done every time a little bit differently to have the same result, or how to understand this?
So we have to. The process itself is perfect because it's coming from a perfect person, but we are imperfect, so our general tendency is to always have difficulty. So sometimes, like you said, maybe some people didn't hear it, but like you come to like chant one day and it's like amazing, and you're like, wow, this is awesome, and you're chanting, and then the next day you're chanting and you're like, whew. It's like, oh my God, this is hard, this is tough. So Krishna speaks about this, that the chariot of the mind is not fixed. Therefore, it's hard for us to concentrate or hard for us to experience the bliss of Krishna consciousness. We'll notice in our lives, like after practicing for some time, when we're conscious every day, when we're like, hearing, chanting, our mind is in the right place, we're not disturbed, we're feeling it. We're on book distribution, we're feeling the bliss, we're feeling the ecstasy of Krishna consciousness, we're feeling, like Prabhu was saying yesterday to us, you're on a cloud, we're flying. It's like you're flying, you stop flying, you just feel like you're on a cloud, everything is like, you're moving very nicely. You're up high. But when the mind takes over, then it becomes difficult to practice. And that's the nature of things. Therefore, like I've just said before, Krishna makes that important point to Arjuna that one must tolerate all of these things. One should not let his feelings carry him away. Today I feel like this, therefore I'm not going to chant tomorrow. No, bring it back. Don't let your feelings carry you. Use your intelligence. So, although most days our minds are like, getting us, we can see that overall, generally when you draw your graphs, and you have your points, even this is like whatever, stocks, you can say stocks. It goes up and down, up and down, up and down, but overall we see that it's going up. Right? It's like little, but the slope is is upwards. It's a positive slope, not a negative one. So we'll see that in our lives. Although every day isn't like, sometimes when you chant japa, when you do your japa, it's not like, full of like rasa, it's full of taste and all of this. But we can see overall over the years that there's progress. That we can see that where the lust and the greed and all of these things coming down. Our dealings with devotees are better. We're more satisfied in Krishna consciousness. We should see that. Otherwise, we have to make sure that we're getting proper guidance if we're not seeing that over the years. So the spiritual master and his representatives are guiders in that regard. So then we approach them. If we're having difficulty, then we see how we can solve that. And then they advise us and they give us solutions. And I've seen in my life, if I'm not puffed up and I follow what the devotees that are guiding me say, it's like, well, okay, there's the change. I think it's like so much advancement being made. Of course, it's like small compared to how much I have to go. But I can say, just like following the instructions of the devotees and being under the shelter of devotees, you learn so much and you make so much fast-paced advancement. So one has to be sincere enough to like approach devotees and then accept that. Sometimes, we think we're doing really good, and then somebody approaches us and then points out that we're not doing that good actually. And we have things that we need to change in ourselves. We can take that and go, this person is acting out of false ego. We can take that and go, okay, you know what? Let me see the truth in that and utilize that. And then we implement that in our lives, and then you see a huge change. And then you have more faith in that. Next time you have difficulty, like I was saying, next time you have difficulty, you know what to do. And you know that those instructions are going to help you, so your intelligence is ready to handle that. Okay, all I have to do is follow this and I'm good. I have to follow the instructions, that's all. My spiritual master says, if everything fails, just follow the instructions. It's like everything fails, then just basics, instructions. Just go back to the instructions. Apparently that was a saying in England. If everything fails, just follow the instruction manual. So it's simple. But there's difficulties, but we have to tolerate them and then see that we're moving up. Sometimes people want to go too high too fast. Why am I not experiencing love in my heart? Because there's lust and greed and anger. You're experiencing those first, because that's what's on top. But once you get rid of that, then you'll get it. Slow and steady is better than trying to go high and fast. Okay. Yes, Max. You got 2 questions? This one, okay. Thank you.
If we have lust and anger and greed in our heart, and it's not possible to clear that out, to purify it on our own, how can we see, how can we discriminate, how can we tell who is a proper spiritual master to approach and who's not?
Yeah, if you're not intelligent enough to recognize who is proper spiritual master, then we simply, like I said, you look around and you see the results. And then we see who they've taken shelter of, and then we take shelter of them. You see that the devotees around you are advancing rapidly, that their spiritual life, they're flying and they're strict and they're following and everything is good. What are they following? It's natural. Like, what are they doing? Who are they following? So I should do the same thing if I want to make advancement like that. Simple as that. If you don't have the intelligence, then find someone who has the intelligence to recognize that, and then follow that. That's all. One just has to be, sincere in his endeavor. It doesn't require one to be a scholar. One just has to be sincere. If you're not intelligent, then find someone who's intelligent. That's all. Find someone who's advanced, find someone who is sincere, and then take shelter of that. That's all. Anything else?
Mohanji over there had a question.
Yeah, you have questions. Okay, please.
Just hold it like this. Both of them? Yeah. Like that? Can you hear me? Okay, all right. Hello.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. The question that I have is that while you're practicing Krishna consciousness, what do you do during times where you start to have like doubt about yourself when you're practicing? Because I feel like that happens to me a lot.
Like,
Where I begin to just kind of doubt myself, like if I'm doing anything right.
if you're what?
Sorry?
If you're doing what? Sorry.
If I'm like, it's not that I'm doing anything right. I just like having more like faith in myself that I'm gonna like, I can do it consistently. That's like the thing that I have.
Yeah, you have to come into association more. You
Okay.
get strength by the help of others. Just like when you start like learning to swim, somebody has to help you. You have to have an instructor that's constantly there, like, so that you don't drown. And then once you get strong enough, then you can, better example perhaps is the flock of birds that fly. Is that the weaker ones, they stay in on the inside, and the stronger ones, they take the headwind. And so there's the ones on the inside, they stay safe because But if the weaker ones were to try to fly on their own, they wouldn't make it. Those birds that travel from one continent to another or whatever, they fly in this formation. So they put their weaker who are younger or whatever, they're younger, they'll put them in the inside so that they don't take the headwind. So as long as those people stay within that range of whatever that formation that they form, they're good. If they go, you know what, I can fly on my own, and they get out, bang, headwind, you're behind, and you're not going to make it. You're going to fall into the ocean. So one has to take shelter there, and then when one becomes strong enough, then he can take the position of taking the headwind, and more other people come, and then they take the position of being inside. So it means that analogy, using that, means that you have to constantly be in association, because it's hard. Otherwise, like, none of us would have ever done it. I wouldn't have taken up Krishna consciousness if I wasn't around devotees pretty much every day, day in, day out. I would make it a point in my life that although I was studying, whatever, in university, and it was pretty intense, that I would make it a point to go and see the devotees every day. It would take my time out, but there's actually no excuse in why you can't chant 16 rounds and I used to go and do kirtan an hour every day. And I was working as well. And I don't know, I'm thinking about it, how the hell did I sometimes do it? I would go out on Sankirtan for 2 hours, I would go to university all day, and then I would go I'd go to the temple in the evening for an hour of kirtan. Every day, that was my schedule. And I lived like an hour away from the temple at one point, and would have to catch the train in, and it was so difficult. But I gave that the most important part of my day was that. I have to do that. Otherwise, I'm not going to survive in my spiritual life. So constant association is what helps us become strong. And then many analogies given. One stick is easy to break on its own. But you put that same stick and you get 10 of those, and then now you can't break it. So the best way to advance is the association of devotees. So that means you have to constantly come in touch. Once you go away, and then you really get the hit, and it's wow, amazing, and then give it a few days, and then it's how am I going to do this? How am I going to go? How am I going to maintain this? I would feel like that. I would come and see all of the devotees when we used to be in New York. And then I would spend 3 months fired up, on top of the world. Spiritual life is amazing. You're chanting so many rounds, Harinam 6 hours a day. You're chanting whatever, more than your 16 rounds, reading an hour a day somehow. And you feel like you're on a spiritual cloud. You're really flying, no problems with the mind. And then go back to Australia and study, and it's like, whoa, this is hard all of a sudden. So I give it like a month and everything's like coming back down. So devotees help us maintain that. So otherwise, so many things creep in because of personal desire, sense desire. But you, amongst the association of devotees, that desire you have to be happy in the world through sense gratification, you get that and more. You get that and so much more. So it's so much nicer. It's so much nicer to dance with the devotees in kirtan than to go out with my friends who are half drunk and try to dance with them. It's like look around you and it's just like people who are just wasted, and it's like, what the hell is this? What kind of enjoyment? So much nicer to sit in kirtan and listen to this transcendental music than to sit in a car and bump music down the street. So whatever, so everything is like better in the association of devotees. Alone we can't do it. Okay, is there anything else? Any other questions?
Does anybody have a question?
No? Okay.
Wait, I have one more question.
Okay.
Okay, since like I'm still like a beginner in this, what would you recommend like the rounds I chant besides 16? If I can just do 10, would that still be something good for a beginner?
Can you do 16?
I can try to do 16. I'm already at 10 today.
You're already at 10 today.
Yeah,
Can you do 16 today
I can attempt to.
and tomorrow?
And tomorrow, yes. I'll be here tomorrow as well.
Okay, so you can at least start the 2 days and then just continue it.
Okay,
That's it.
that's it. Okay.
Once you do it once, it's like, oh, okay, it's possible. And then once you do it twice, 3 times, then you'll get there.
Okay.
And see if you can come regularly and stay there. It's not like you just have to come and stay at the retreat. You can come regularly, even during the week. You work
I do, but I work like part-time now.
part-time, so come, why not? It doesn't cost anything. You just come be with the devotees. You can do a little service with the Matajis. Stay in the temple, take nice dinner, go to sleep, wake up, dance, chant, take nice breakfast, go to work. And then come back after a few days or something. Make a schedule where you come at least 2-3 times a week just to see the devotees, be with them, stay at the ashram. You'll learn so much. You're young right now, so you can do that. Once you start having more things going on in your life, then it becomes harder to do that. So yeah, it's good if you can do that. That's available. The ashram is available for that. It's there for that reason, to facilitate people's Krishna consciousness. Okay, anything else?
No, that was it.
Okay. Any other questions? You have anything? No? Okay. All right. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.